What was once one turned into three, reconnecting with our family, a safe space to speak authentically. We raise our cups, unifying as three. We bring freedom in community, random thoughts and golden nugget treats. Welcome, Three of Cups community. Let's go ahead and raise the frequency.
What is up, y'all? What is up? You're here for our episode 3 of Cups. We have a topic today. We're going to be talking about coming out of a victimized mindset. Me coming out of a victimized mindset. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So, I was definitely someone that was always holding on to grudges when someone upset me or crossed the line or did something that in my eyes I deemed as not forgivable in that moment, something that I either felt like I wanted to at other points be spiteful, petty, or get even for, right? So obviously not the healthiest traits, but they're traits that I had and still have. And one of the things that I had to do to help me get out of a victimized mindset was first identifying that I do these things. First identifying that when something upsets me or someone crosses me or someone does something that is against the expectations of what I hold in a connection, I need to first identify that I'm the one that sets those standards in the connections where I'm expecting someone to show up the way that I show up for them in a connection, because everything that I have in my life starts with me choosing to interact with that in the first place. Me choosing to connect with that interaction, that connection, or maybe that place or that environment. I chose to be a part of starting that intermingle, that connection, that moment, because it takes two to tango at the end of the day. It really does. And I was always in like a woe is me mindset, like, oh my God, can you believe that this happened, that happened? I would go down the list of everything that would justify why I would be upset at a person, place, or thing, and go down to the facts about why I should hold something against this person, where I would either remove myself from them, or I would block them, or I would go out of my way to just avoid continuing to connect with them entirely, right? So that was my vibe. That is still my vibe. I am someone that is always constantly changing the way I approach things that come to surface for me to look at, but also things that happen outside of me. I'm always going to be changing how I choose to respond or address to a situation, really depending on the vibe, the energy, and the environment and the person. Because the thing is that there are bridges that you do need to burn. There are connections you do need to block, and there are connections that they're teaching you something. They're reflecting something to you, and they require boundaries. And so it's really deciphering through each experience, not generalizing it, but deciphering through each experience which experience needs to be honored with one of those things I mentioned, in my eyes. This is kind of where I started to shift my perspective, because originally I just always complained. I realized that through my complaining, through my need to finger point, my need to express my position, my need to seek acknowledgement for the position I've been put in, my need to seek validation for the experiences I've been through due to the emotions stirring up within me. My need to go through all of that was me holding on to the mindset of wanting to wait for an acknowledgement of the feelings that I'm feeling and the things or circumstances I've been put through. And it's not bad to feel through the feelings, but I realized that combined with me being petty, because I can be petty, and I have not fully outgrown that part of myself yet. I'm still working on that. And I fully accept that I show up in situations that are petty and that I contribute to further disruption or chaos that may occur depending on what decisions I choose to make if I operate in that energy. I fully admit to that. I do. Because it is currently a part of, once again, how I am. Going back to the main point though, knowing, because I totally forgot where I was going with that, but I'm sure it'll come back to me, but knowing where to apply the topics. Knowing where to apply the topics of when to burn a bridge, when to just block a connection, and when to really evaluate when something's reflecting to you to look at yourself. That's where I was going. Okay, now I know. Now I know. So, with a victimized mindset that I was in and I was operating in, it got me realizing that being a victim to complaining and then me seeking to be petty, I recognized how that is a trait of an energy vampire. That is a trait of me operating as an energy vampire, where I am not only draining the energy of others around me as they're listening to me complaining, or spending hours or days off and on just talking, complaining about the same topic. I'm not only draining their energy, I'm draining mine. I then recognize from that moment that there's never going to be enough acknowledgement. There's never going to be enough of anybody acknowledging or condoning actions or stating the response to factual information I bring to surface to them to see, or that I hold in front of their face or whatever, because the thing is that it's going to be a bottomless pit. It's never going to be satisfied. Because really, I'm actually waiting for me to acknowledge me. I'm waiting for me to acknowledge my feelings. I'm waiting for me to condone the actions of what I'm speaking on or complaining about, to feel I'm showing up for myself. Being in a victimized mindset with me, how I used to operate before I started coming out of this, and side note, I still fall into this. Okay? Me coming out of this, I started to recognize where I was keeping myself stuck and stagnant. That was a pretty big pill for me to swallow. And it took some time. A lot of time. It also took me to having to control the amount of communication I had with people I knew or was connected with, because if I'm doing it, it must mean as well that I chose to surround myself with others who operate in the same mindset, in the same energy, in the same I want to say cognitive function, but I feel like that's a little too technical. It's also a little emotionally detached, which I have a tendency to do as well. I have a tendency to be emotionally detached when I state out technicalities and facts, and it can seem emotionalist, but I have those moments, and I own that too. There are times I'll have empathy and times I don't, and I'm just stating the things as they are, and it'll come off probably pretty cold, but I'm also working on a compassionate approach when it comes to my communication, which I have been learning to grow over time. So, moving on. So, um, now that I've highlighted that, um, I was always stuck on things because I chose to stay stuck in the mindset of complaining. I chose to stay in the mindset of always just pointing out, look at what this person's doing, look at what they did to me, look at what that happened to me, why is everything happening like this? It was just me binding myself to being stuck in those moments in time. It was not productive, it was not progressive, it was not forward movement in my mindset, where I didn't know I needed to make peace with what was happening. I needed to accept I'm not in control of these situations. And it was a hard thing to let go of. It's still hard for me today to let go of things when they happen, because I like to also carry out my own sense of justice for how I navigate things and how I used to navigate things. Because it's my petty side that comes out that is seeking a sense of justice, which, yes, is driven by my ego. That is a thing that I also have been working through as well, and that I still do. And that I have recently had to be very, very self-aware of, is what I'll say to that. Because it is not easy when you're in the moment. It is not easy when you think, okay, this is the plan, this is how I'm going to do things, this is how I'm going to approach things, this is how I'm going to respond. No, it is not easy. It's not. If anything, it's the biggest challenge, because you're facing yourself in these moments. You're not facing someone outside of you. It's yourself you're going to be facing when you are dealing with having to change these habitual habits that have been built over time from belief systems that were absorbed through periods of time of growing as an individual and when you've been around other individuals. And then let's not forget the traumatic experiences that entangle themselves into these habitual habits as well, which are rooted in why you also do some of the things you do, aka why I do some of the things that I do. Just know that there's going to need to be a lot of grace you're going to have with yourself. Because if you don't hold space for grace for yourself, you're going to constantly be in a loop where, because you're so hard on yourself, you're going to think you failed every single time you slip up. You're going to think you fail every time you didn't do something perfectly as you're trying to change a habit. And that is something that I had to work on. because being an overachiever, being someone who's very proactive, being someone that I like to itemize a progressive planning method to how I can better approach situations, better approach what I'm doing on a daily basis, better approach how I could be better in certain areas. I can assure you, someone that I've recently connected with, where me and her, we just connect at random, she's even let me know, and shout out to her for that, she's let me know how much I need to practice having grace with myself because I'm so hard on myself. I will be quick to call myself out on something when it comes to a moment or opportunity for my own personal reflection and my own personal growing moments. And yes, when I say growing moments, I mean actually growing pains, not just growing moments. They're going to be growing pains as well, because the growing pains are going to, for me at least, when I went through them, they're going to reflect a lot of like character development. Because let's be honest, every time you go through this, you're going through a phase of putting an end to an old version of yourself, an end to an old mindset you used to operate from a old version of yourself. It's growing pains. You're reprogramming the way you approach things, the way that you allow your mind to respond to things when you are used to reacting to some a certain way, and you're retraining your mind, which, your mind, it's a pretty powerful tool. So, in a sense, when you're going through this character development phase, you're also going to be going through this, you're going to go through this, because I went through this, it's going to feel like a dark night of the soul, but it's more like, for me, I felt like I was going through a roller coaster where there was like days that I was like high on life, happy, excited, ambitious, and then days I was just low as the bottom of a bridge. Like, it was just very depressive, unmotivated, not knowing like if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and feeling a bit disconnected from things around me, just kind of like feeling detached from everything. It's now I'm seeing like an image of like someone rewiring an electrical circuit, an electrician when he goes into an electrical box and he has to rewire things. Like, those moments, those roller coasters that I just explained, that I've been through myself on more than one occasion, like it's a thing. It is a thing. Know that it's normal. If you're going through that, it is actually normal. It doesn't feel normal because it's something you're not used to. I was not used to it. I was actually concerned a lot when it happened, because you think after a couple of times you have it happen to you that, oh, okay, I know what this is. No, I still didn't know what it was, even when it was still happening, because that's how much reprogramming and deprogramming that I was going through. It was a lot. A lot of self-growth, character development moments. So, yeah, that's basically kind of a part of how I started to come out of a victimized mindset, was reprogramming a lot of how I used to approach things, but also redefining how I choose to approach connections now. The other thing that I struggled with was letting things go. It's like I've made peace with a scenario or situation, but to let it go was a whole different thing for me entirely. Um, I I still have this issue where I just don't let things go like that. I just don't let things fly. I notice that I am a person that has reached a point where I'm not fed up, but if I'm upset, like I still can't let it go. Like that's the holding the grudge part. That's the petty part of me. That's still the victim part of me that just can't let certain things go. And I do struggle with this. I do struggle with letting things go because that's a part of how I am. If I feel like something's been crossed too far, I just like that's trust that's been broken right there. That's the thing that, good luck repairing that with me if you even have a chance to, because that just might be it. That just might be up. That just okay, like um that's just the part how I am. And no amount of apology, no amount of really, when I reach that point where that trust is broken, even when I'm not fed up, but I'm upset at how something happened to where it did break my trust, like, good luck repairing that. Good luck. Because that's not gonna probably ever be the same. And I think the harsh reality behind that is, in my eyes, the harsh reality behind that is people expect you to find it in your heart to be okay, to say, you know what, you apologized, I'm all about love and light, let's move on. Nah. No. See, I'm all about the idea of, yeah, I like the idea of operating from a space where, you know, yeah, let's keep up the vibes. Let's enjoy each other's space. Let's, accept that this happened. Let's accept that, you know, yeah, thank you for apologizing. Thank you for owning your shit, right? But like, no, no, that's just not me. That's just not me. I That's just not me though. I don't like to play in the playground that people like to play in, where, oh, well, if I apologize, she should just be fine with it because we're supposed to be spiritual. We're supposed to learn to have compassion. I can have compassion and still ask you to stay away from me and leave me alone because I don't want to mess with you anymore. I can still approach it that way and be compassionate about my delivery instead of being rude about it. But I have had my fair share of cussing some folks out while I have expressed myself. And I own that too. I own me doing that as well. I think I might have to make a part 2 on this because I'm seeing a low battery. So I'll see you in the next episode.
Let's go ahead and raise the frequency.